All right, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, Barnum 11970. First off, before I start this video, I want to thank a viewer who recommended a couple of people to my channel. I'd never heard of him before this, but I wanted to give a shout out to Hush Puppy and to all the new subscribers that came to listen to my point of view. I had an original channel called Barnum 11967 back in around 2012. I deleted it, which to this very day I regret doing that. But I have videos that go back to about 2012 on my channel. You'll see over time my viewpoints have definitely changed, which is something about growth in the world. So hopefully you guys will check out my videos. I have over 47,000 subscribers, but as you'll see about this video I'm about to talk about now, my channel has been basically ghost banned for the past 3 or 4 years. So without your thumbs up, without your sharing, without referrals like what Hush Puppy did, most people are never going to see my content. So I would definitely recommend checking out some of my older videos to see what I'm all about. But I want to say welcome to you guys, and that's why I felt it was necessary to do that shout out, and I appreciate anyone that's kind, no matter what their point of view is. If there's an agenda, kindness is kindness. It shouldn't be anything related to the fact that everybody has to agree with something. Being kind can be done by anyone, and hopefully everyone. All right, but this is something that I want to talk about, because those of you who know my channel know that I will always look at things from a different point of view. I will always think of things a lot of times from an enemy's point of view, so this way you can kind of see where certain things might happen in advance. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right, and it doesn't mean what I say is going to happen. But I wanted to discuss this because I think this is important that many people may not be seeing right now. Now, there's an article that happened a little bit sometime last night. It's being censored, where they're uncovering some information about Joe Biden's son. Now, I'm sure this video, just because I said his name, will automatically be censored. It'll be flagged, it'll be demonetized. So the one thing I can ask is, if you look at the descriptions of my videos, you'll see different services, discount codes and things I offer. It helps pay the bills, because I've been unemployed for 8 months due to the scenario. And like I said, out of 47,000 viewers, maybe about 400 to 500 people will get to see my videos. So they're going to censor me, but I don't care, and that's not going to stop me. So that's the one thing I don't think they seem to understand. When you censor people, it actually validates a lot of their argument. And I apologize, people to blast their music around here, but there is an article, and I won't get into much detail. You can check that out on other people's channels. Mine is not about just regurgitating somebody else's news article. It's about sharing my perspective of it and what I think is a possibility, and I think people appreciate that. So there's censorship going on, where the President Trump's cabinet or policymakers, and Trump got censored, and Kayleigh, who is, I think, Secretary of State, I'm not sure of the titles because I don't focus on that part, but she was posting a New York Post or a New York Times article, I forget which one, so forgive me, basically revealing that Hunter Biden had a laptop that he left at a computer store. He was getting it repaired. It had water damage or something. He abandoned it. Now, if you know anything about property, after a certain amount of time, if you abandon something, somebody else can legally have claim over it. So the owner of the store, eventually, after whatever amount of time passed without anybody claiming the computer, probably wanted to see what's inside it, probably maybe wanted to, clear it out and resell it, and found a lot of what I will say is possible incriminating evidence that goes against a lot of what one of the candidates has been saying. And also making a lot of things that people were being called conspiracy theories and lies, seemingly possibly true. Now, I haven't seen these articles, and they're not putting all of them out yet, but that's not what this video is about. The Secretary of State, and again, if I'm saying the title wrong, forgive me, to me it's just irrelevant, but the people on the Trump side were posting these articles on Twitter, and they're not only were being censored, what a surprise, I've been only telling people that since about 2012, but they blocked them. Now, there is going to be a hearing with Jack Dorsey, the founder or CEO or whatever he is of Twitter, on why they tend to silence one side. In other words, if you speak truth, like my channel, or have a difference of opinion, or you actually question things, which is something I highly recommend of anybody in the world, if for anything, just for verification of what you learn in life or what are told in life is accurate, will get censored. Like I said, I've been talking about this since 2012. Back then, I was called a crazy conspiracy, paranoid, tinfoil hat wearing, conspiracy theorist. But you're starting to see now that when they try and do this stuff, it becomes blatantly obvious over time. So this isn't about tooting my own horn, but this is what I'm seeing right now. This hearing I would be very careful about, because one of the things I've been hearing is that they're saying they're getting so sick and tired of certain sides being censored that they want to do a hearing where it could possibly end up that social media places like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and things might be under government regulation. Now, this is what scares me about that. Some people will think that's a great idea, but this is what I say. What if all of this stuff, and this is just my opinion, is being done on purpose to, because like I've always said on my videos, a lot of times they don't base things on facts, they base it on emotion. That's why you see advertisements, they don't just talk about the specifics of a product they're selling. They talk about how it makes you feel, and how you're part of the tribe, and how you need it, like, now, or you won't be surrounded by beautiful people, or wealthy people, or fun people, yada, yada, yada. You understand what I'm talking about. So when something triggers your emotion, to me, that is a warning sign that something else might be possible. So this is what I'm thinking. What if, and again, this is an if, it's a hypothetical, doesn't mean I'm right, but what if all of this stuff is purposely being done to anger the people about their freedoms being taken away from them, that one day the good hero, quote unquote, and I say that facetiously, government people step in and say, how dare you censor us? You've now lost your ability to have a free platform, and it's now going to be government regulated. Well, think about that. That would mean any government from there on in would have access to everything that you type. Now, most will argue they have that already, but with government regulation, who's to say they can permanently not end somebody physically, but end their career on a platform and be able to find out more about the person? Because maybe you have to have a government assigned consent to join after that point of whatever social media service, and who knows what kind of things you're consenting to. So I would be very careful and pay attention to what's happening here, because like I said, when it comes to media and governments doing repeated things that are triggering your emotion, most people, when it comes to emotion, tend to react instead of think. In other words, they just respond to the situation instead of thinking it through. It's like a person, like, for example, my father, that you may or may not know, died in a fire back in 2012. Instead of checking the door before he opened it to see if it was hot or smelling for smoke, he just panicked, opened the door, and died 3 steps later due to smoke inhalation. So what I'm saying is you have to be very careful about reactions, and you see that all in the news with all the riots and protests and all this stuff that's going on. Whatever news channel you go to, whether it's CNN or Fox News, eliminating the question of why things are happening. They're very good at reporting what you see, but always remember, Yoda once said, and I've quoted this many times, your eyes may deceive you, don't trust them. In other words, just because you're seeing something does not mean it's not being taken out of context, or there are things outside of the realm of the sight that are going on that could change and alter that situation. Be very careful. And they never question things as to why they happen. And on my channel, whether you agree with my philosophies or my point of views or opinions or not, one of the things I say is I give you the choice to think of an alternate perspective to make a better judgment based on more information instead of a one-sided information, whether you agree with that side or not. And that's one of the things that I have stated, that I am not Republican or Democrat. I have changed my allegiance from time to time, but I am a free thinker, which means even if I am more pro-Trump than I am against Trump, that doesn't mean that I view him as a guardian angel who will save the world. Everybody has their own personal agendas, and this is one of the biggest things that I follow, even though I'm not a religious person. It's the religious text of, by their deeds you shall know them. So be very careful with what's going on now, because I have a feeling that when you get the masses riled up, you can get them to go in a direction you want based on nothing more than getting them mad or making them think they're going to be happy with an event, instead of actually processing information, thinking about it, analyzing it, hear all sides of a story, and then basing it on your own opinion. Because no matter who interviews any politician, they're basically generic questions, and they allow the politicians to answer them in the generic form or completely avoid them. I guarantee if I had the ability to question either Joe Biden or Donald Trump, I would have both of them thinking about questions they've never been asked before. Like, for example, I would ask Donald Trump, why is it you are not going to allow the gold standard back and take us off a Federal Reserve System, which is based on the fact that it's a foreign entity that is giving us debt that us, the citizens and know what citizen means, I have many videos to talk about it, that we're supposed to be obligated to pay. John F. Kennedy, one of the many reasons why he was assassinated was because of the fact he wanted to go back to a U.S. dollar, because you'll notice on your coins it says U.S. Mint, but you notice on your bills, and it's ironic that it's called the bill because it is a debt note. You know, I have many videos about meanings behind words, but they say Federal Reserve note, which means your quarters, your nickels, your dimes, your pennies, your half dollars, your Susan B. Anthony dollars, your other coinage is manufactured by the U.S. Mint, part of the United States of America. And that's why make sure you know your language, because you notice a lot of politicians and media always talk about the United States. Well, if you know about politics and you know about government and legalese, there is a huge difference between the word United States and the word United States of America. The word of is a separation. The United States is a corporation. The United States of America is talking about a country. Now, I have videos, one of the highest recommended videos on my channel, among many that I would recommend, is the one that really launched my channel in seriousness. There's two videos, but the one I would recommend is the extended version. The Truth of the United States Law and You. It's about a 90-minute video, but it will change your prospect of what this corporation, what I mean about that. And I have many other videos that talk about the legal terms, that words that you think in regular English mean one thing, but in legal terms they mean completely another. Like, for example, the word person and citizen, according to legalese, legal definitions, means you are a corporation. People need to, I don't say understand, because understand means you're standing under the authority. I like to use the word understand. Now, I've become a lot more philosophical in my more recent years, so my videos, especially in the past year and a half to 2 years, I've been getting into a lot of meditation and a lot of inward searching, and I've definitely grown from that stuff, but that does not mean that stuff is no longer relevant. And please share this information, because like I said, like my video from yesterday, if anybody watched my video yesterday, you will see there's no swearing, there's no disrespect, there's nothing about causing wars or damage or anything like that, but YouTube automatically flagged it, which means I will never get any ad revenue, and that also means that most people will not see it. Now, I don't do it for money, but I would love to be able to put food on my table, because, you know, being out of work for 8 months, not because I'm lazy, because I owned my own businesses. When I moved here to Florida last year, I ended up having my own comic book business, a flea market, which is now permanently out of business. I also have my own DJ business, which I cannot do because there are 6 or 7 people in a bar now, because people are afraid to death to go out. So the reason I'm not working is not because I don't want to, it's because basically government is scaring us all into believing that there is this major, major pandemic where I have yet to see somebody just drop dead in the streets. And also remember that people, before this whole number 19 thing happened, I hate to tell people, but people were dying before that. So when they say things like, oh, there's 200,000 deaths in this country, do they seem to forget there are people who die from drunk drivers, but yet they will not ban alcohol nor cars or your ability to get a license. There are people who die from the flu, from heart attacks, from stress, from suicide, from accidents, from AIDS, from tuberculosis, from many things. But they seem to forget about those at this point. So what I'm trying to say is, ladies and gentlemen, those who view my channel may not always agree with what I have to say, but you have the respect to say it as long as you do it civilly here. And one of the biggest things I say is, think for yourself. Never be afraid to question anything, including people you may agree with. Because a lot of times people take advantage of that. If you're going to blindly follow somebody and think they are a God that can do no wrong, you are easily just as led and distracted and lied to as those who you think you oppose. So be very careful. Have no allegiance to somebody who does not have allegiance to you other than their words. Again, by their deeds you shall know them. So be very careful about this whole situation with Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, because if the government gets control over the regulation of our modern day ability to speak, in the wrong hands, that could become something incredibly dangerous. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, whether you agree with the fact that this is a corporation, whether you agree the fact that, you know, our country has flaws, and I will sit there and be the first to say, you know, there's a reason why most people flee to come here than anywhere else, is we have the best chance of the best freedom. Doesn't mean we have all our freedoms, because I will be the first to say, you are not free. You are free to do what you're told, or you're free to... To me, this is the freedom of what I think about this country, as with the certain amounts of government and politicians and corporations we have. It's like them saying, you have freedom to pick which hand I'm going to punch you in the face with, my left hand or my right hand. Well, that's a freedom of choice, but it's not either one you would want. So, again, just because this country isn't perfect doesn't mean we can't change that. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, there's supposed to be any senator, any House of Representatives member, even as high as the president, are supposed to be representative of the people. Remember that famous document that said, we the people? It's not them, the government. And again, do it peacefully. So this video is going to be flagged. It happens every time. I will not get any advertisement, which is fine, because it hasn't stopped me since 2012, so it's not going to stop. So I would love for you guys, like what Hush Puppy did, and again, thank you for that, and those who came to my channel. Share my videos, get my outlook out there, and get people to think for themselves. I'm not telling people to agree with what I say. I'm saying to never be afraid to question. And if your representatives and your media will not do the job that you want them to do, you have to speak up. And it means nonviolent and getting the truth out there. United we stand and divided we fall. And that does not have to be an American terminology. That should be something around the world. So, you want to unite? Unite for a cause. Something that makes this world a better place. And if that means we have to make it uncomfortable in the realm of not being afraid to question those in quote-unquote power or those in authority, then it's our duty to do so. We don't put a gun to their head. We don't fight fire with fire. We fight them with our pocketbooks and our wallets, our minds and our hearts. And until people understand that, they're never going to do anything more than continue a vicious circle that will continue as long as you keep playing their game. The idea is to think in a different way and trust your instincts, trust your heart. Don't go with your mind. Your mind will always deceive you. Your heart will always, be true. And somebody just did a super chat. Sal, I want to thank you for that. A lot of times I don't get to read the chat on this because it just goes by quickly, and it's, especially out in the sun, because right now it's about 95 degrees. I want to thank you for that. That was very nice of you. And definitely it's appreciated, but definitely never expected or anything like that. You will never see. I do have a Patreon account if anybody wants to join it. The link is in the description, but you'll never see a video there that you will not see here. I will never be one of those channels that says you have to pay me to watch content. Everything I have on my channel is free to see. So if anybody joins my Patreon or does something like that super chat, that's just being nice, and I say thank you. One of the big things, another big video of mine is I make and sell Orgone pyramids. Which, by the way, that those of you who have been subscribed to my channel for a while, Orgone, my cat, that one of my many strays that we took in, and if you go back to 2013, you could see a picture of him the first day we found him around June 13th of 2013. We had to, unfortunately, put him down. He had a cancer in his stomach that we did not know about because a week ago when we put him down, the day before, he was perfectly fine. Next thing we know, he's not feeling well. We took him to the doctor, and not only did they say he's going to be dying, that they had to put him down immediately, otherwise he would be in incredible pain. But so Orgone, unfortunately, is no longer with us, and I miss him to death. He is the most loyal friend I ever had, and that's why I love animals, and I love him to death, and I will always miss him. So hopefully you guys will check out those videos. And I have another channel called We Love Comics. If you see the video I did a week ago, it's a comic haul video. You'll see him, because a lot of times when I did videos on that other channel, and I did that for more fun, he would jump up on my shoulder and want to always be a part of the video. And you could see that he felt fine. But later that day, all of a sudden he got ill. And then the next day we had to put him down. And I was there with him when he died. I made him look me in the eyes the whole time. I didn't want it to happen, but they said even if we spent the $6,000, which I didn't have, to operate on him, it wouldn't have guaranteed anything because the cancer leaked into his stomach and was basically going to kill him overnight. So even if we had the money for the operation, they said it would have gave him a couple of more days, and there was no way I would put him through that pain and suffering. But the reason that I mention that is because that's why I named him Orgone. There's a whole story behind it. You could see it in my older videos for those who care about that. But we named him Orgone because when we found him on Father's Day, it was a year after my father died, and we found him in my father's car on Father's Day. Because when my father died, I got possession of his car, not because I wanted anything material. It's because my other sisters lived states away, and I lived like 5 miles away, so it just made sense for me to bring it. And it was only 2 days in my driveway, and this kitten, which by the way looked exactly like the first kitten my father ever had, was underneath my father's car and would not leave it. So it was the first anniversary of my father's death on Father's Day under my father's car with a cat that looked like the identical image of my father's first cat. And at the time, I was in the backyard making my Orgone pyramids. If you don't know what Orgone pyramids are, it's O-R-G-O-N-E. I have a video, because not only do I sell them, I have a video to teaches you how to make them. So that's one of the things you'll know about the integrity of my channel is some people say, oh, how dare you? And I've had people accuse me of how dare you sell something like, you know, God forbid I make a living to feed my family. But the video teaches you how to make them. So you don't have to buy anything from me. You can make them yourself. Basically, the video says, you know, here's how to make them. Here's a full detail of what you need to do and how to make them. I even recommend, I believe, websites of information on the crystals and stones. But I say at the end, well, if you don't want to make them or you don't know how, or you think it's just easy to get from me, I sell them as well. So if anybody wants to check out, again, the description, you'll see a link to my store. I also make organic soaps, which, again, I have a video teaching you how to make them. So I will never have on this channel something that I will make you pay for. I think it's, I mean, you have people have the right to do it on their channel, so I'm not going to sit here and say it's illegal or anything. But on my channel, you will never have to pay for anything to get information. So even if you are kind enough to join my Patreon, basically what I would say is if you join my Patreon, you're just helping to support my channel. You're not spending any money to get any other content because I will never make anybody pay for extra content. So that's why I think I have maybe 4 or 5 Patreons in 10 years. And if you watch my videos, it's very rare I even mention it. Because I want the message to be about what's important. I will always find a way no matter what. Yes, I've been out of work for 8 months because I'm not allowed to go to work. And yes, I don't have a lot of Patreons. And yes, YouTube will block my videos so I cannot earn a living. But that to me is not the most important. I will always find a way, because I tell this in my videos, especially my most recent videos in the past few years, is you can achieve anything. So yes, the past week, I've been depressed. I was crying. I was upset. The loss of Oregon is like the last remaining part of my father. He was better as an animal, as a friend to me, than any human I've ever met in my life. But I know I will always prevail. I will always move on. And you have to learn from your pains. And I am honored that I got to spend 7 years of my life with him by my side. I will miss the days that when I would take a shower and get out, he would have to jump on my shoulder, to the point where if I was going to work at the time, I would have to go to take my shower a half hour early so I could spend time with him. And I'll tell you, there's maybe 1 or 2 things that he used to quote unquote annoy me about, because, nobody's perfect. I would trade everything I own for one more day of any of those things that at that time found that he annoyed me with. They would, like when we would feed their food, he would always jump on the counter. Or if I made myself food, he would never stop trying to eat my food, and I'd have to keep him away the whole time. I wish he was here right now trying to eat from my food, because I'd rather have him with me. But another thing about my channel is, you'll notice, like you're hearing now, I tend to go on tangents. I will go off topic. I will talk about, especially with my Italian background, and being a Sicilian Italian, and being a Scorpio, and formerly being from New York, I am now a Floridian, that I can speak. I will speak, and I can say things like, oh, I'm going to do a quick video, and that quick video ends up being a 35-minute video. So it takes a lot for somebody to listen to entire videos of mine, because I can go all over the place. But if you do spend the time and the effort to listen to all of my videos and all of the content, you will get to know me in a better picture, that I am a person who will always speak about what he believes in, even if everybody else is different. I have been attacked. I've had people violently threaten my life. I've gotten death threats, and it has not ever changed my point of view. I will be real. I will be genuine. I will be as honest as I can. I'm not perfect. But if I make a mistake, I'll do my best to own up for it. I do not have alternative motives. There are some out there that make these claims, which I have no substance other than we're just going to badmouth a person. I stand my ground and stick with my convictions. And I think people respect me for that, the very few that get the chance to watch my videos. So I will tell you, especially if you're new, coming from that Hush Puppy channel or anywhere else, even if you just saw one of my videos and thought you'd give me a chance, even if you hit the notification bell, chances are you'll never see another post of mine again. There are people that have been subscribed to me for years that all of a sudden got one notification 2 or 3 years later and thought that I just disappeared. So what I would recommend is check my channel out. I have hundreds upon hundreds of videos for you to look at, all different topics. And the one thing you'll notice is it's me always speaking my mind. I don't edit my videos. I don't try and have a fancy green screen. I don't try and have people be impressed by my microphone and my camera. I'm not in a suit and tie trying to look like a professional. I don't read off of cue cards. As a matter of fact, 99% of my videos, I just decide to make a video like now and just start talking. So I never plan what I'm going to say. I never write down anything I'm going to say. And I speak to you directly from the heart. Let me ask you this with any politician, Republican, Democrat, Independent, or what have you. Name one politician that when they were speaking to the public did it with their own voice without having to read off of a cue card and having somebody else write down what they should say. That is just pandering, and that is not being real, and that's what my channel is about. So the person that did the super chat, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. It does help, even though YouTube takes a third of it for me doing all the work. But it's no surprise that YouTube and Facebook and Twitter have a socialist agenda. Look at what's in the big picture. And I want you to explain it to this way, because a lot of people say I have a good way of explaining things. I want you, if you have any children or younger people in your life who may be thinking the socialist way, the Bernie Sanders way is the way to go. I want you to think about this. Just picture you as a kid at 10 years old and your friend at 5 years old, and you both went trick-or-treating. And you as the bigger kid got 4 times the amount of houses. You ran to the houses. You knocked on all the doors. You went up and down the blocks. You did it for hours. And you filled an entire garbage bag full of candy. And the littler child, let's just assume they're your brother or your sister, whatever you want to use, doesn't matter to me. Since they're so young, they can't really keep up, and they only got to get maybe a pumpkin-sized basket worth of candy. And your parents say, well, I see you have a garbage bag filled with thousands upon thousands of pieces of candy, and your sibling has maybe 50 pieces of candy. I want you to give half of your candy to your sibling. Now, you as the person who put out the effort, put in the time, did the work, and got the reward for your hard work, you're going to be a little disappointed that you have to give away half of what you own to someone else who may or may not deserve it. Now, you could say because it's a family member they do, but let's just say they were strangers. And you will always see that the person getting the free stuff will always be happy. Well, if you have a voting system anywhere in the world where they want you to have a bunch of free stuff, which is never free, just to get your vote, well, they have you permanently left in poverty, because for you to get those free things, you can never rise above. So you notice there is one particular party in this corporation of the United States of America Corporation that is always talking about the welfare system and free health care and free schooling and free this and free that. Well, to get that stuff, you have to remain poor, which means you will never achieve, you will never strive, you will never reach a higher expectation of your life. You will always keep yourself just above the water just so you could be handed a life raft instead of learning how to swim and learning to be the best that you can be. So I am old school when it comes to you should always reap the rewards of your hard work and your hard labor. Other people should not have the right to take advantage of that. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that's up to you. That is just my point of view. You don't have to have my point of view to be welcome on my channel. The only thing I ask is you don't curse, you don't abuse, and you don't tell lies. Whether you agree with my statement of what I just said and my perspective of it, you have that right. But you don't have the right to abuse somebody for it. And that's the lessons we're being learned these days. And I think that's a horrible way to teach the next generation of people of how to treat other human beings. Because whether you're gay or straight, whether you're tall or short, whether you're black or white, whether you're male or female, whether you're Republican, Democrat, whether you're a king or queen, regardless, one thing we all have in common is we're all human and we all have a soul, which means we all come from the same source. So killers and saints all come from the same source, which means we are all one, which means when you hurt one, you're literally hurting part of an extension of your higher self. And until people start to grasp that concept, we will continue to go down this path of demonizing and hurting and pain and evil and selfishness and loneliness and depression and wondering why. Well, there's an old saying that says either poop or get off the pot. So if you spent your whole life complaining and did nothing to try and change the world in any way, well, whose fault do you think that is if the world does not turn out the way you want it to be? Now again, I'm not telling anybody to get a gun and shoot somebody. That is doing something wrong. That is trying to harm a fellow human being. But justice can always prevail when you do the right thing. If you continually fight fire with fire, chances are you are going to get burned. If you start to learn how to do things in a better way, life will change for the better. There is another saying that I've quoted many times, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, look at our history for the past couple of thousand years. We're always going to war. We're always going about division and separation and church and state and poverty and control and corporations, and nothing changes. Well, if you want change, you have to be prepared to go against the grain and stand up for your belief, no matter who prosecutes you for it. I've spent years of being abused by people. Even on my We Love Comics channel, you'd think a channel based on comic books would be loving. I get a lot of hate there too. Not as much as I used to on this channel, but those days are long gone, but I still get it. And that's okay. Stand up for your convictions. Never be afraid to question anyone. Question everything. Search into yourself. Trust your own instincts. Follow your heart, not your head. And think of everybody in the world the way you would want to be treated. And maybe we'll find a better way. Because if you believe in unconditional love, then it has to be what the definition of that word is, unconditional. Which means if you if you put a condition on it, it is not technically love. And since the universe is more positive than it ever will be negative, because there is always the middle ground of neutrality, which is slightly more positive than it is negative, that means that love and truth and honesty and light will always prevail in the end, but it will get here faster if we start to follow it, and instead of believing things, know things. And that's why the saying isn't believe thyself, it is know thyself. So as you could see in this very one video, this pretty much sums up a full range of my belief systems and the way I have my point of view. I will never become a politician for that reason. I will never be a part of the media for that reason. I will always be silenced for that reason, at least at this time. But one thing I will say is, if you are listening to this right now, it means the message can and will get through. And that's why if you look at the title of my videos, especially my earlier ones, you will see on my headline of my thumbnail, or my banner better yet, it says help unite the people one person at a time. So if one person's life changes a little bit for the better for watching my video, that is perfectly fine. Would I love to help millions? Absolutely. But this life is telling me that you don't always get what you want, and you work with what you have. So work with what you have. If you spend your whole life beating yourself up, getting depressed, being angry, which is okay, but if you spend your whole life doing it, all you do is in the end hurt yourself. Because if the world around you makes you feel depressed and makes you feel angry and makes you feel scared, and you do nothing to try and change that, who do you think it hurts more? The politicians on either side that are going to go home to their yachts and their mansions and their limousines and their expensive foods, or you? It's time to think in a different way. And that's why channels like mine will always be blocked. And that's why I need your help. So if you liked anything about what I said, leave it in the comments section. Give it a thumbs up. Say to your friend or your family member, hey, take a chance on this guy. Listen to what he has to say. Because I never, in any of this time of this video, never once said you have to think my way, or you're wrong if you think differently. I'm just giving you a perspective. Whether it resonates with you or not is up to you. I would like to believe that the people that watch me here and make their voices heard in a respectful way, to me that means they resonate. Now you'll always get the few people that try and break it down and beat it down, because back when I was back in 2011 or the end of 2011, I'm not sure, when I shut down my original channel, I let the abuse get to me. Well, if you're still the same person you were 10 years ago, it means you did nothing to change your growth. That's why I keep up videos that even people have said, oh, you were so dumb for being so wrong. I could have easily taken them down, but I keep them there proudly because that was my belief at that time. But if you do not grow over the years, you're not getting anywhere. So if you're the same person you were 10 years ago, that says more about your fears and you not making the actions it takes to grow. And that's why the people that hated me back then still hate me now, because they have not refused to do anything that will benefit their life and grow, and they are still the same person that they were. And I am no longer even close to the person I used to be. I keep the good parts of me and try and better the bad parts, or the parts that need improvement. And here's the wonderful thing about life. One of the lessons is always room for self-improvement, which means there will always be room to grow, and that's why the universe is infinite, not finite, because you will forever be learning. So you think you know it all? You don't. That's the beauty of life if you want to see it that way. So I've had my hard times and my hardships. 2020 for me, just like many people, has been a challenging time. I don't see it as a bad time. I see it as a challenge, because with a challenge, you can try and solve it, which means all things will get better unless you decide to do something silly like put a gun to your head. I would recommend that to no one, even on my worst enemies. Because you never know what somebody is like now, who they could become tomorrow or today. And a person that could have been the most evil, most hateful person in your life could one day all of a sudden hear something from you or from somebody else that inspired them to become a different person, and the next day becomes the savior of all mankind. So don't assume anybody in your life, whether they are good or bad, cannot change in an instant. It is all boiled down to choice. And I hope you guys and gals out there will make a great choice to do something to benefit mankind instead of separate it. Because if we cannot see all ourselves as human beings, then none of us deserve this planet. And is it any wonder why it's being destroyed? You know, you're given a great gift and you abuse it. You know, just imagine if your parents, when you were a kid, gave you a BB gun, and you decided to take that BB gun and shoot everybody in sight, kill all the birds and cats around your area. Well, would it be a shock to you that your parents, if they saw that, would take that BB gun away from you? Why? Because you were not being responsible with a gift that you were given. So you have been given the gift of life. You have been given the gift of challenge. You have been given the ability to be able to question things and use your heart. And if you are not able to utilize that gift and you refuse to use it or believe you don't have it, it will be taken away from you. So don't cry that the world is horrible if you do nothing to make it better. United we stand and divided we fall. And that goes with every part of life. So thank you so much for listening. 49 people out of my 49,000 are watching. So less than 0.01% of my people have access to my videos. 43 of you liked it. That means a lot to me. That means the very few people that listened, majority of them, said they approve of what I had to say. Notice there was no political agenda. Notice there wasn't anyone telling you how to think. It is my perspective, and I leave it to you to agree or disagree or take something from it. You don't have to like, when you go to Thanksgiving and there are 50 different choices of food on the table, you don't have to like everything. And if only one thing is there that you love, then be appreciative of that one thing. And if you can do that, you could see the world in a much better place. I'm living through the same things that you guys are living through. Like I said, I've now been unemployed for 8 months. I'm not allowed to work. And for months, I was not allowed to even qualify for any government help because I'm an independent contractor. I'm living on $125 a week, which is $250 every 2 weeks. That's what I'm living on. And yet, I'm not crying, I'm not begging for money, I'm not going and selling drugs, I'm not trying to rob people. I'm just saying my time will come, and what can I learn from this situation? So I understand. I'm not one of those people living in some mansion that has billions of dollars in my bank account trying to tell everybody, oh, don't worry, it'll be okay. I'm with you all. But if I can see the positive side and see the light at the end of the tunnel and see the rainbow after it rains, maybe you can too. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you again to the person that was kind enough to do the super chat. If anybody out there has the ability to join my Patreon, I would love to have you a part. Again, you don't have to. And if you're interested in my Orgone pyramids or my soaps and deodorants that are 100% natural and good for you, go check them out and maybe check out my store, even if it's just to share it with somebody, because YouTube isn't going to do it, Facebook isn't going to do it, and I need your help if you want to. But if you don't, you're still welcome here, even if you don't subscribe. So I hope you found something beneficial in this video. I hope if you've just seen my videos for the first time, maybe you get a deeper perspective of me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and be good to one another. And trust me, don't believe everything that you see. Excuse me. Make your own judgments. Thank you for listening. You all have a great day.